Hi there, welcome to Sanderson Clips. In today's session we're going to look at some ideas around influencing. Now, in order to influence an individual or indeed a group of people, there are a number of factors that we have to take into consideration, and we are going to look at one of them today. And what we're going to look at is to get an understanding of how people process information. So in other words, they receive information and we process it internally, and then we respond externally. So when we have a clearer understanding of that, we can then use that to enable us to think about how, in an influencing situation within the workplace, how can I sort of sell my idea or get my point across. So let's look at this model. The thinking process. As you can see here, there are 6 key stages, so let's just go through them. The first stage is what's called the stimulus. In other words, an individual or a group receives information, and we would receive it normally in one of 4 ways. Either by reading something, by hearing something, by seeing something, or by feeling something. So that becomes the stimulus. That then triggers a sort of chain of events. We get the stimulus, we then start to think about that, we start to put our thoughts together. When we start thinking about that, we then change that into what might this mean for us? Are we happy with it? Is it useful? Is it unhelpful? And it's usually around about this stage in the process that our beliefs and values kick in. In other words, once we put meaning to something, we then sort of measure that or compare that against what we believe to be true for us and what's really important for us. Now, depending on what the connection is here, if we're comfortable with this, that then elicits the emotions. Now, as I said, if we're comfortable with this, the emotions are probably going to be okay, they're going to be sort of positive, whatever that might be. However, once we put meaning to it and we relate that to our beliefs and values, if there's a sort of a conflict here, the chances are that our emotions will be, let's say, on the negative side. So it could be anger, fear, anxiety, frustration, whatever. Now, our emotions then trigger the last 2 points. That is how we respond, either in a verbal or a non-verbal way, or indeed both of them. And that's reflected in our behaviour. So the stimulus triggers thoughts. Thoughts are transferred into meanings. We compare them against our beliefs and values. That has an impact on the types of emotions we'll demonstrate, and that's reflected through our verbal and non-verbal behaviour. Now, the way this actually works is the stimulus is external. In other words, it's something external to us that we receive. The next 3 are internal, because this is a processing stage where we sort of start thinking, put meaning and so on. And then the final part is back to external. That's what we demonstrate and display through our behaviour and non-verbal communication. Now, another way to look at this, to sort of shorten the process, is to look at think, feel, and do. That's one other way to look at it. So think, feel and do. So let's say then that you are trying to sell an idea, or you're trying to get your point across. In other words, you want a group or you want an individual to take some action, to do something. Now, this could just be a one-off, or indeed it could be a permanent change in behaviour you're looking for. So what you've got to do as part of your influencing strategy, you've got to say to yourself, if I want this person or group to do something, how do I present it, which is your stimulus, the stimulus for this person or group, how do I present it in such a way that when they think about it, they won't feel so bad, and they'll more than likely to do it. Now, one of the things you've got to consider here, if you want people to do something and they start to think about it, they generate feelings and emotions, there's got to be a good reason for them to want to do it. So the do should include, wherever possible, any benefits. In other words, what's in it for them? Why is it a good thing for them to do that? Not necessarily today, but in the future. So that's got to be part of your strategy. And also take into account, you may get some resistance or objections. So you need to be able to factor in here, if I ask them to do something and I get some resistance, how do I deal with that resistance? So hopefully this has been helpful for you, just to realise that the stimulus will trigger all of this, and that in turn will have an impact on how easy or challenging it will be to sell your idea or get your point across. So I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.